I got this question on my Instagram stories. If you don't follow me, check me out at Brock Ashby on Instagram. And the question is about to gym after 2 years absence, what to do to prevent injury. This is a great question, and a lot of us took time off recently, maybe not a whole 2 years, but a lot of us took time off, especially with COVID around, gym shutting, or even having to isolate. So I actually applied these methods that I'm about to talk about to myself while I was down and out with COVID that I got start of this year. But this can apply for 2 years as well, but I was out of training for about 2 weeks. And I recently just took another 4 weeks of consistent heavy training whilst I was getting married and on my honeymoon, and now I'm back into training. I've pretty much applied all these methods because it works and you don't want to get injured. The worst thing you can do when coming back into training or just in training in general is to get injured, because then we're not doing anything, right? So we may as well be more conservative than go too hard too early, get injured, and then have to take more time off. So the first point I'll say is you're not who you were 2 years ago. If you've taken 2 years off the gym, you're not the same guy that you were or girl 2 years ago. You have to treat yourself like a different person. If 2 years ago you deadlifted 200 kg, you're not deadlifting 200 kg after 2 years of doing nothing. You need to treat yourself differently. So let's say you were deadlifting 200 kg, you might start at somewhere like 60, 80, 100 kg, somewhere well below your potential of what you were 2 years ago. But you have to remember, you've just taken a whole 2 years off. You're a different person. You have less muscle mass. You haven't been training. You may have less coordination. You may have less core stability. You may have atrophied in many ways, so you can't treat yourself the same. Number two is show up, don't blow up. Now, this is a saying that I literally just thought of, and it's about just showing up. When you're away from training, and this is not so much about preventing injury, but this is more so about being consistent when you're getting back into the gym, because if you come into the gym and you don't enjoy it, or you don't have a good experience, you probably won't continue going. Especially if you had 2 years off, you're coming back into it, you want to stick to it. So focus on showing up, not blowing up. And by blowing up, I mean training hard, training as hard as possible and just getting extremely sore DOMs, or training too hard and injuring yourself. You don't want to do that. Just focus on showing up. Get back into the habit, because that's what's going to keep you in the game in the long run. When you look back and let's say you've trained 10 years consistently, it's not about really how hard you trained, it's about how consistently you trained. So I want you to focus on showing up, focus on going 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, how many times you want to go. Just focus on showing up, don't focus on blowing up. And then later on, you can focus on getting stronger, getting personal bests and being strong, and doing new exercises and blowing up. Form has to be number one. That's number 3. Form has to be your biggest priority, and this is really where injury prevention comes from. If you're doing an exercise with 100% great form, flawless form, you're probably not going to get injured. But if your form gets a bit funky, you start ego lifting, you start trying to impress the girls at the gym, that's where you're going to start getting injured. So form has to be number one. That's your number one priority. I tell all my clients, yes, be as strong as possible, but as soon as you put on a weight that compromises your form, and you can't squat as deep, or you can't lateral raise as high, or you can't deadlift without a rounded back and shaking and your form going all over the place, your knees going everywhere, your arms bent, that's where you're in trouble. So form has to be the number one thing that you're focusing on when you're looking at coming back into the gym after 2 years, but also just training in general, injury prevention, train with good form. As soon as you start compromising your form for weight, that's where the target muscle is no longer working primarily to move the weight, other things come in, and that's what we don't want. Number 4, start on machines. If you're feeling quite vulnerable, start with machines and then move on to free weights. A chest press machine is a great place to fail, and it's a great place to train hard and really train to failure, where if you did that on a bench press, it's going to be a lot harder because of the stability, but also if you get close to failure, it's really you could be stuck under the barbell like that. So that's what we don't want, especially when you're getting back into it, so you could focus on machines. Especially when I was a face-to-face personal trainer. I'm now 100% online, but when I was face-to-face and I had really new clients that wanted to train hard, but also be safe, knowing that they're not going to get injured, but also get a great workout, I would put them on machines because they can really push till exhaustion and get a good sweat in whilst being safe, because you're nice and stable. Then as you get more advanced, as you progress from beginner to intermediate to advanced, you can go to more free weight options that you have more confidence in training to failure, because you're a bit more aware of how hard you can train, and your coordination is a lot better as well. So machines can be a great place to start, and then you can progress to free weights as you get more confident. Number 5 would be muscle memory may help. Just because you've taken 2 years off, yes, you're probably going to be a completely different person, but don't forget about muscle memory. If you've had the muscle before, it is a lot easier to build back into it, so it may help. That doesn't have anything to do with the question, but in terms of getting back into it, yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, you're going to be not as strong, you're going to be a bit weaker. It may take you a while to get your coordination and stability back, but muscle memory may help you get back on your feet a lot faster. Number 6, the Beginner's Guide to Body Transformation is a guide that I wrote for beginners. So if you did want to pretty much apply these principles as you're getting back into training, or you're a complete newbie, complete beginner, this is the guide or the program that I would recommend to you. This is a 12-week program that you can do for men and for women. If you sign up, let's say to the men's program, you get 12 weeks of training at the gym, but you also have the same program at home as well, just because sometimes gyms shut down, sometimes people train at home, and then you get gym access. Now you have both. And same if you get the women's program, you get the at-home program, you also get the gym access program as well. And this program follows the principles that I'm talking about ultimately with machines, progressing into free weights, so you can train hard, but as a beginner, you can still kind of figure out your coordination, figure out your potential, how hard you should train, and then progress into free weights as you get more advanced through the 12-week programming, which will be available in the link below the YouTube video. Hope this helped, guys. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be making videos like this, answering questions on YouTube. I do them on Instagram, on my stories pretty much every day, but on YouTube, I can really dive in and give a bit of context behind it if that interests you. Please subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it all. See you next video. Let's go.